two brilliant moves in the same game by move 8. One of them happened in this exact position, white to play and find a brilliant move. And it gets even better because of how this game ended, but I don't want to spoil it, so we're just going to jump right in. But trust me when I say it's going to be worth it. You're going to want to see how this finishes out. All right, let's take a look how we ended up here, then you can see if you can find the brilliant move. Sicilian defense. I played bishop to b5 like I always do. Queen to b6 is a bit of an interesting move, trying to immediately harass my bishop, so I just defended it. And then my opponent jumped in with the knight. And believe it or not, on move 5, there is a brilliant move here for white. What do you think it is? You had a chance to look at that. The move is knight to d5. And it's brilliant because we're leaving this bishop free for the taking. Remember, it was defended. Now it's no longer defended. But if black does that, we have the follow-up triple fork here. Of course, we're not interested in the rook. We're going to take the queen. But still, that's the idea. And it's also an attack on the queen. So the queen has to move. So it's kind of an annoying move if you're playing here as black. So black simply goes back, doesn't want to lose their queen. I traded knights, I castled, and now my knight is attacked, and guess what? This is move 8. I found another brilliant move. What do you think the move is? All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is rook to e1, and it's brilliant because we're giving up the knight for free, and what's the idea is that after black takes, we're going to recapture, which unleashes the rook on black's king, and black has a serious problem. You don't want to give up your queen. You can't move the king anywhere. So you have to block with either the knight or the bishop. And it doesn't really matter what you do. The piece is going to be pinned. And then d6 is happening next. And guess what? Not only am I going to get my piece back, but I also now have my rook in a very aggressive position. And black's going to be struggling to hold on, essentially. Okay? So that's the idea. And that's why rook to e1 is a brilliant move here. Now, at this point, my opponent saw that, played knight to f6. I decided to just trade, played d3. And this kind of looks like a pretty boring game. I mean, we've traded 2 knights. We both have bishops. There's a bunch of pawns. What could possibly come about from this game? Well, let me just show you, because it was... I can't even believe that what happened in the game happened from this position. It just blows my mind. So let's just keep going. He plays h5, trying to attack. There's a general principle. When somebody's attacking you on the flank, one of the best things that you can do is counterattack in the center. And that's what I'm doing here, trying to just clear some open lines and files so my bishops and rooks and queen can be more effective. Okay, notice I'm safely castled on the side. My opponent is not. So that's why it's important that I kind of focus on doing something in the center, essentially. Okay, queen to a4, there was a double attack, and this seemed like a good way to defend both of those things. So that was my idea anyway. a6, it's not really, actually it is a threat, not from the pawn because the rook is pinned, but it is a threat because queen takes b5, right? And then I don't have a pin anymore because I have to trade my queen off. So I had to retreat the bishop. He takes here. I developed with a tempo, and if the queen was going to take here, I was going to be pretty happy to just bring my rook over and just keep attacking and gaining tempos. Opponent decided to go back to d6. I played f4, again, sticking with the plan, gaining space in the center, putting pressure on the king. And watch what happens here. Queen to b8, queen to a5. Now, this was actually threatening a fork, and the reason it wasn't a threat before, at least I didn't think it was, yeah, it's not, because I can just take this, right? Because there's still the pin there, okay? Stockfish doesn't mind that move for black for some reason. But after queen to b8, now it's really a threat. Because now if I just do some random move, b5 is happening, and guess what? There's no longer this idea. He just takes it. It's defended, okay? So that was the threat with queen to b8. And so I decided to avoid the fork by simply moving my queen, and I moved it to a5 because I'm trying to gain control of the dark squares. Notice how if I can get my bishop in there, it's very limiting to what black can do. Their position is going to be super cramped because all these pieces can't really move if I'm controlling all of these dark squares, if that makes sense. Okay, so b5, he's trying to strike while he still can, right? Because otherwise, like I said, once I blockade that pawn, this bishop's never going to have a future. All right, so I retreated, bishop to b7, rook to c1, and watch this. Queen to d8 allows me to go bishop to b6 with the tempo on the queen. And just hold on, we're getting to the super interesting part. He moves here. I played rook to c7, just infiltrating on the 7th rank. Remember, rooks on the 7th rank are usually pretty powerful. I'm attacking the bishop, and so black plays the move bishop to c6. Now, right here, there is a very, very cool move for white. Now, Stockfish doesn't think it's the best move, but I don't really care about Stockfish right now. It's a cool move. All right, so what do you guys think? Try to pause, try to find a really nice move for white. All right, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is queen takes a6. Yes, the rook is defending the pawn, and yes, I'm giving up my queen for a pawn. Why would I do that? This is not what happened in the game, but if black would have taken my queen, notice the back rank now becomes available for my rook, and the king has nowhere to go, which means black's only move is to give the queen right back. And so essentially, I'm winning a pawn, and I'm getting an attack on the king. And I actually thought that this was going to lead to checkmate. Oh, it's a check. It's a check. And then he castles. Okay, so I was mistaken about that. But I could have also taken with the rook here, and this is a pretty nice position for me. I got the pawn. The king is being attacked. Okay. But my opponent didn't want to deal with that, so they decided to go queen to b4 instead. And this leads to one of the most spectacular finishes I have ever seen in any game. And I'm not just saying that because I played the game. It's just a wild finish to the game. So if you would like to pause, you can see the eval bar there kind of giving it away. There is a checkmate in 5 moves, and it is awesome. So go ahead, pause, white to play and win, mate in 5. All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, apparently, looking at Stockfish over here, there's 2 solutions, but the one that I played is definitely the cooler one, so we're going to look at that one. The move is queen takes rook, and there's the check, and here's the idea. After the bishop takes, again, we're taking advantage of the back rank, so we play rook to c8 check. The king comes up, and here's where it gets a little bit tricky. I'm going to give you a chance to pause again. It's mate in 3. What do you think the move is? All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, it's bishop to d8. And originally when I played this, what I was thinking to myself was like, okay, I'll be able to go bishop c5 check, get the fork, get my queen back, and it's, I'm probably going to be up the exchange, and okay, it's probably better for me. But then I was like, wait a second, what if I do just go hunting the king? Like, do I have a follow-up? And at first I didn't think I did, and then I realized something. This little guy right here is going to be the hero. Actually, this one is. Bishop to d8 check forces the king to come out, because if you go back, this is just checkmate immediately, which that's kind of cool in and of itself. But we're not done with the cool part yet. King to d6, and here we go, e5, and my opponent actually resigned before I was able to finish off the game. Look at the rook here, cutting off these. Look at the bishop behind. Look at this bishop here, and then the pawn and the rook is defending it. Every piece is playing a role here. I mean, this is just, I don't know. This is so cool. Right? Look at that. Look at that checkmate with a pawn. Queen sacrifice, pawn, 2 brilliant moves. It was a fun game. I had to show it to somebody. I hope you guys can appreciate that as much as I did. And if you're wondering, let's go back to this position. The other checkmate here, not here. Instead of sacking the queen, which was the cooler way, you could also have gone check here. Oh, it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing, except now you have, oh no, it's not, because the bishop is here. So what is the checkmate? Bishop to d8. Oh, queen to b8 check. Forces the king to go up here. Wow, bishop to b6 check. Okay, so I didn't even see that one. That's kind of cool, too, in a different way. I like the pawn. The pawn is better, but still, this is pretty nice. What a wild game. I mean, that was just, it was weird. It was wild. It was fun. It was exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for letting me share that with you. See you next time. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.